Sunday morning, sitting on the edge of my bed, just doing my quiet time, and I was having a thought, praying about some things that I believe God promised to me, and gave me a vision about, namely home and a wife. Anyway, and I just wanted to make a short video about how to hear from God, because I feel like a lot of people wonder, or aren't sure how to know if God is leading you to do something. And I don't really, feel like it's that complicated. It's not easy necessarily at all, actually, to stay in God's will and be obedient to it, because a lot of times God will lead you to do things that don't make sense, and they'll drag out and take a long time, and it's just really easy to kind of get off and misinterpret, or your own desires and wants for what God's will is, and then kind of rush out and do something maybe that he's not leading you to do, because of our impatience, or just the fact that we're tired of waiting maybe. And I don't know, I almost compare it to a game of Frogger. If you've ever played Frogger, I was, I'm showing my age here a little bit, but like, there's a little frog, and there's cars coming by each way, and sometimes you have to go forward, but sometimes you have to go sideways. Sometimes you just have to sit still. And oftentimes, like, when you kind of, that's the way God works, where you'll be doing things that you'll be sitting still for a while, and you're like, what the heck is going on, right? Like, God, what the hell? I want to cross the road. Like, don't you know I want to cross the road? But he can see things that you don't see. He sees cars coming by, so he might just have you sit still. He might have you go sideways. He might then have you go forward, much later after you've thought. But he sees that car coming by. So a lot of times we just want to go forward, and we run out into the road and get smashed and run over, and then we wonder why. But hearing from God isn't all that complicated. If you don't know what God's will for your life is, it's really as simple as asking him, and then waiting for that feeling, waiting for peace. I always tell people, trust your gut, because your gut is never wrong. Your gut is the Holy Spirit, right? And you'll get a peace, and something will feel right. It might not necessarily make sense. Like, a lot of times I'll get visions and it does not make sense at all. I was just thinking about home, and I'm like, on paper, there's a lot of reasons why I could talk myself out of it. Number one, the place is too big. The owners aren't calling me back right now. The neighbors don't really want us there. There's no parking. There's all these reasons why I could say, no, that's not it. But at the end of the day, that's what God told me, and I have peace about it. And I have to wait in order to see, to watch it. It doesn't matter what happens on paper. You can look at something on paper, a person, a thing, whatever, and it could be perfect on paper. But if God is not leading you in that direction, that is not right for you. And you have to be smart, because, again, your perspective is so limited, right? You think about all the reasons on paper why something should work, or a person, or whatever it is, and they could hit all the points on your mental checklist and not be right for you, because, again, our perspective is so limited. You can't see that truck down the road that's coming. You can't, but God can. So you have to stay in the center of his will. And while that's the safest place to be, that's where the magic happens, and is in the center of his will, because that's where he'll show up and do miracles. Which is why I believe there's so many times in the Bible that people said, wait for God. If you look at that term in the Bible, wait for God, it's like probably hundreds of times in the Bible, because these are people that actually did it. They waited for God. He showed up, did this incredible thing, and they're like, whoa, this is amazing. Hey, wait for God. Because if you try to go out and do it yourself, it's really hard, because, he doesn't promise to come through for you if you run out ahead of him. Usually you'll get smashed, because he has a plan. I go back to that. So for anyone that's wondering what it's like to hear from God, it's as simple as trusting your gut, not your head, not your heart even, but your gut, what feels right, because that's the Holy Spirit, and that's what will lead you into the right direction. And then staying in that place and believing what he tells you, even when on paper things may not add up. So that's my word for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Talk to you later. See ya.